Public transit agencies are reporting that there is a definite lack of funding, identifying a large variance in complexities of their existing environments, and the lack of expertise about what is next generation. Cybersecurity practices is very difficult, and to bring an outsider to understand how to operate this equipment, how could you secure something you don't know how it works, is the challenge that we're all facing. So outsiders, unless you tell them, can't secure what they don't know. And if you don't know that that's a risk, then it's hard to translate. So what exactly is a zero trust model? I think we'll go to the next slide, please. So a zero trust model is a security framework that requires all the users, whether they are in the inside or the outside of the organization's network, to be continuously authenticated, authorized, and validated for being granted access to the network applications and data. So that basically means they're being authenticated every 5 seconds rather than once. And then they're in the network and they do what they like. So this is known as a zero trust. So one of the most common tactics of a hacker uses is taking a user's credential that they have compromised, perhaps a weak password. Once they are in the network, their first thing they will try to do is change the credentials that they have to a admin user or a super user within an application or in the network. This will then allow them to manipulate and change anything they like. So with a zero trust, the minute a user tries to change their credentials, that would trigger a denied and they would be locked out of the system. So there's no need for all the monitoring. So that's a totally different design. You don't need the experts. Everything just gets turned off in this particular type of model. The main objective of zero trust is to allow the organization to approve every user and every device every time it accesses the network and a network is requested, with a clear understanding of who, why, and how. This capability, coupled with least privilege, allows the organization to maintain strict oversight of a network users and devices, as well as their activities. So OT is a technology hardware and software that is used for managing, controlling, and monitoring physical industrial devices and machines. So very different than IT. So the takeaway is that people need to understand what secure processes are, how their own work processes work, where security gaps need to be addressed. Agencies need to ensure they use an authentication process for vendors, payments, including validations of vendors and backing accounts. Increase employee education and assistance to departments is needed so staff can review their own internal process to ensure that process includes multi-factor authentications and vetting requests, and use verified communication methods beyond email. Next slide, please. So to conclude, with every new technology that is introduced to the system then becomes more complex and requires more skilled staffing to monitor and control. In the cyber world, a zero day is an attack of an unknown vulnerability. It has never been discovered yet. So with that said, it has been there from the very first day you bought it, but not exploited. So every day has the potential to be a zero-day attack.
And first response data, so access details on crash severities, vehicle resting positions, such as is it inverted or is the vehicle in a ditch, the vehicle type, status, occupancy, and that information can all be fed then to emergency services and first responders. And the next one is probably intelligent improvement. So using WEJO's road and traffic modeling to inform road and intersection improvements. infrastructure and construction, and then probably the one that infuriates everyone the most is roadworks and closure planning, doing them at optimal times, whether it's going to have the less impact. And just in that that diagram that you can see on the screen, so privacy and security is at the centre of Wejo. We have a regulatory and security wrapper that ensures that everything that is private stays private. We hold several recognised security certifications, and these are audited by our independent third parties on a regular basis to make our cities more livable, improve efficiency by predicting and also preventing build-up of traffic and ultimately lowering emissions. And then the last one is increasing convenience, so creating that better personal transportation experience by helping, for example, drivers find a parking spot more easily, making EV charging more simpler, and reducing commute times overall. And this is just an example of one of our products that I had mentioned. So it's a data visualization tool known as Wejo Studio, and this can provide immediate insights leveraging the Wejo Adept platform, which is collecting all of that data. New analytics are delivered on a regular basis to Wejo Studio, and there's a few other products that are in the pipeline for that as well. Within information security, our vision is that Wejo remains safe, secure and resilient, and we do this in a combination of people, processes and technologies. We work on our strong security culture at Wejo. These top 5 cyber threats, in my opinion, are not just limited to automotive or tech or transport. These cross all industries. Malware and ransomware is top of the list, and it's top of the list for good reason. And the last one on there is third-party breaches. Personally, this is the one that concerns me the most. It's the one that you have least control over. Our governance team do a really good job of carrying out due diligence on our supply chain and ensuring that appropriate security controls are all in place. But for me, the monitoring of our customers, suppliers and third parties is still critical, because that at times can also be one of your weakest links.
The pie chart on the left shows the distribution of various perpetrators of cyber incidences, which range, as a previous speaker mentioned, from agency insiders to hackers and hacktivists on to cyber criminals and nation state actors. The motive for cyber attacks in recent years has primarily become financial, as opposed to espionage and other motives, as shown on the chart on the right from the Verizon Data Breach Investigations report. Ransomware at transportation systems has been a problem for some time. In 2014, the American Public Transportation Association, or APTA, said it was one of the most common cybersecurity incidences threatening transit agencies. As mentioned earlier, that has increased from 180 to 200% from 2020 to 2021. Over time, ransomware attacks have evolved from random speculative attacks on a large number of potential victims to highly targeted attacks that demand larger payouts from a single victim. Ransomware attacks cost an average of $4.62 million, which is more expensive than the average data breach. These costs do not include the cost of the ransom. Full costs include the cost of detection and escalation. Those are the costs to identify the incident and then to begin to respond. NIST, from the federal government, has been providing cybersecurity information for 50 years. In addition to a cybersecurity framework that was established relatively recently, NIST provides standards, recommended practices, alerts, and mitigations for specific vulnerabilities. Now I'd like to discuss the cybersecurity trends we found and the emerging cybersecurity practices that have not yet been widely disseminated by transportation organizations, but are of growing importance now and over the near term. First, existing cybersecurity approaches and practices are no longer adequate. New vulnerabilities are identified continuously, and cyber actors are constantly learning, adapting, and developing new approaches. Secondly, next generation cybersecurity approaches are being introduced. Along with industry, the federal government has become even more active in supporting and establishing these practices. Let me talk briefly about the findings of a 2021 San Jose State Mid-Atlantic Transportation Institute survey on transit agency security. Just over 80% of agencies that responded to the survey believe that they're prepared to manage and defend against cybersecurity threats. And yet, only 60% have a cybersecurity program in place. The survey found that cybersecurity staffing levels are low relative to other industries, and that the headcount dedicated to cybersecurity does not correlate with either agency size or with whether the agency reported having suffered an incident. Many transit agencies have yet to define the roles and responsibilities and the necessary knowledge, skills, and experience for many of the cybersecurity jobs. Of those that do have cybersecurity staff, transit agencies do not have employees with the requisite cybersecurity skills. Only 38 of the 90 survey respondents have certified cybersecurity specialists on staff. And there is no consensus within the industry on which certifications to require among potential new hires.